Hi, this is Jay Horwitz with my friend for almost 40 years. I'm trying to get in my numbers. So 1982, so it's 40 years.
Wow. It's amazing. 40 years of friendship, and I appreciate you, Jay.
And
Yes.
good friends, too.
Yes.
Doc, sitting here in Port St. Lucie, I remember when we came here in 1988, there was a Wendy's and a Gulf gas station.
Yes.
It's kind of built up since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty nice now. You're right. I remember coming here, and I'm from Florida originally, from Tampa. And I never heard of Port St. Lucie at that time. And we moved here, like I said, it was a Gulf gas station and a Wendy's, and everybody lived on Jensen Beach, which was about 45 minutes away. But, man, the town has changed. It's very nice now, and I look forward to coming here every year.
You remember, I think we stayed out in the Hutchinson Island. We had to go to the big drawbridge and get caught on the bridge, and the hotel got wiped away in a hurricane. But it's really changed. Doc, after all these years, you're in fantasy camp. Does it make you feel good that the guys still beam when they see you? I mean, to have this recognition after so long. I mean, it's not many guys can control a room like you and Darryl and a guy like Reggie Jackson. I mean, it's still that you got the it factor.
Yeah, it's a great feeling to have, Jay. And to come here, these guys are true fans. They come down here every year. And the thing I like about it, you develop friendships with these guys. Because like you said, the first day they see you, they're in awe. They get autographs. We take pictures and all that. After a couple of years, you come down here, it's like a friendship. You look forward to seeing these guys. And even at Citi Field, you run across these guys. It's a good feeling. And to talk about, each other's families. And we look forward to seeing each other every year. It's like a guy's, fraternity. And it's a great feeling to have. And for anybody out there that's never been to fantasy camp, they should think about coming.
So, Dwight, what do you think about this locker room? Our first locker room wasn't like this. They recognized the history, the players on the wall, all the guys from the past. The current players get a sense of what's going on when they see this locker room, right?
Oh, that's nice. They did a great job in this locker room. And I think it's great for players to know the history of the organization that you're playing for. And like I said, when we was here, it was nothing like this. But I think it's great for the younger generation to learn the history, the guys who played here before they did, to understand that when you put on a uniform, they should look at it as a privilege. I mean, a lot of guys would like to be in a position, so they come with that attitude to be great. But this is nice. I like coming here.
So one of my favorite spring training stories wasn't in St. Louis, in St. Petersburg. It was the end of the first season. Remember, Davey called you into his office, and you didn't know at that point whether you're going to make the team or not make the team, right? And
yes.
You remember that conversation?
Oh, yeah. It was amazing because I played with Davey in '83 in Tidewater just for the playoffs and World Series, and he told me wherever he managed next year, I'll be on his team.
Did you believe him?
I didn't believe him because I was 18 at the time, and
right.
George Bamberger, he resigned, and Davey had the job when I was instructional, and I was just kidding with Davey when we was in St. Petersburg. I said, Davey, remember what you told me? He said, oh, I don't remember you coming in. I remember getting a call saying I was invited to spring training as a non-roster player, and back then they had a lot of B games. At Huggins Stadium, we played at 10 o'clock, so I pitched a lot of B games. Then I got to pitch regular games. And I remember the last game, we was playing at Al Lang Stadium in St. Pete, right before we opened the season in Cincinnati, and Davey came up to me and said, congratulations, you made the team. I was shocked, and it was a great feeling to share that moment with my dad afterwards, to share that with him.
And you had to go home and pack, right, because you didn't have your clothes with you?
Yeah, I had to go home and pack because I didn't want to bring my luggage to the ballpark, thinking that I made it or not without hearing anything, because I know the front office, because of my age, they wanted me to go back to the minors, because I remember Tim Leary had got injured when they brought him up at a young age.
Right, he blew his arm out in Chicago on a rainy day there. And,
oh, man, yeah.
And that led to the effect on what we did for a while, yeah.
Yes, and I understood that, and that's why I was surprised, But I was looking at, being 19, I say, well, even if I went to AAA, I would be happy, but when I made the ball club, we had great veterans on the team that kind of took me on their wing, so it's great.
84 is Rookie of the Year, 85 is Cy Young. One of the magical scenes, 83, he struck out 300 batters in Lynchburg, which next year is going to be the 40th anniversary of that. Oh, wow. What do you remember that year?
Oh, the thing that sticks out the most about that year was we had a pitching coach, John Cumberland, the late John Cumberland.
Cumberland, yeah.
I started out that year in Lynchburg, 0-3, and they was going to send me down to Columbia, the lower A. And John Cumberland said, no, don't send him down. We'll have a Mr. Start, and I'll work with him. We didn't work on anything. We just talked about pitching inside because I was afraid to pitch inside because in high school I hit a kid in the head and the paramedics came on the field.
Really?
So I went pitch inside. So Cumberland told me, when you go back out the pitch, if a guy hits the ball hard off you, the next guy, I want you to knock him down, throw it high and tight. He said, if a guy hits a home run off you, the next guy, you hit him in the leg. And I don't know if you remember, I pitched at Shea Stadium one game. A guy hit the home run. We played against San Diego farm team, and I hit a guy. He comes at not up here. That didn't look too good.
That was when he came up in the middle of the year. We pitched for Lynchburg that year, right? Yeah, and he came up. And
so after that game, he goes, you don't have to hit anybody no more. So after starting 0-3, I ended up 19-4 that year with 300 strikeouts. And then I got called up at AAA from that. And
The Lynchburg team was a pretty good team with Ed Hearn and Lenny was on the team.
We had Lenny, we had Mark Carrion, we had Ed Hearn, Barry Lyon was there for a little bit, Grant Olson, who played a little bit with the Braves in the big leagues. Jay Tills pitched a little bit in the big leagues.
Right.
Bill Latham pitched a little bit in the big leagues. Randy Milligan played with the Baltimore a little bit. So that team was loaded. We won over 100 games. And even when I got called to AAA, I didn't want to go. I wanted to finish the season with those guys.
Doc, your career, you had some ups and some downs. I mean, what's been your message? I know you do. You still do like with Hackensack Hospital. You do still a lot of work. What message you want to get out from your life's journey? I mean, I know you're trying to get out.
I think the main thing now that helps me is just staying busy, helping others. At Hackensack Hospital, I go there with the case of cancer patients. Spend a lot of time with the parents because instead of them, being depressed with their kids, what they're going through, you spend time with them, try to take them to some games, whatnot. We do a lot of stuff with NYPD, with the 5 boroughs, where the kids, addiction with teenage kids is very, very effective now. So I spend a lot of time with them, sharing my story. Just the mess I made, Jay, try to turn it into a message. But the more I'm involved in staying busy and helping others, that helps me as well.
I mean, what do you do? You go to, COVID is not done, but it's calmed down. Are you able to go to the hospital now a little bit?
Able to go to the hospital a little bit, go to visit the kids, and when they're doing better, and if they're able to come home, try to take them to a game or bring an autographed jersey, something like that, just to cheer them up, or go there and watch a game with them. Whatever I can to do to help them. It makes me feel good. It makes them feel good.
Now, let's just jump to current baseball, with the Mets. It was win 101 games, eliminated. Not exactly similar, but in '88, we won 100 games, beat the Dodgers 10 of 11 games, 11 or 12, and we lose in the playoffs. Is it kind of similar to Mets fans? You can't. The playoffs are really a crapshoot, aren't they? Once you get there, I mean,
most definitely. I think the fans, and I'm a fan, I should be very happy with the team this year, what they accomplished, winning 100 games, because like you said, once you get in the playoffs, it's not always ideal. And I look at the playoffs, it's always the hottest team. It's not always the best team.
Right.
It's a team that gets hot at the right time. And I don't look at the Mets this season as a downfall. I thought they did great, something to build on. I thought Buck so well. I thought he did a great job. And I look for the Mets to be exciting for years to come.
Did you run past with him with the Yankees, and I forget, with Buck and all? Did you?
It's amazing, Jay. So 1995, when my suspension was up, Buck was the manager when I signed with the Yankees. But by the time I got to spring training, Joe Torre was the manager.
Right.
But so I never actually got to play with Buck. He was my manager for a short period of time, but I never got to play for him.
And Joe, what was your relationship with Joe?
Joe was great. We came in together, with the Yankees in '96, in spring training. He treated me well. And there's something about 0-3. I started 0-3 in '96 with the Yankees as well. But, they stuck with me. And I thought Joe was great leader.
Isn't it all the crazy stuff about you're pitching no-hitter with the Yankees, and all the great pitchers until this year when we had two, Santana's and the combined no-hitter. You had, David Cohn, Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman. They pitch no-hitters for other teams.
Yes, Nolan Ryan,
Isn't
Mike
that
Scott,
Nolan Ryan? Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing how that happens. I still think I got cheated in '84.
Which game?
I thought against the Cubs.
The Cubs, Moreland?
Yeah, the Moreland ground ball with Ray Knight. And I saw Ray Knight at the Old Timers game. We was talking about that. He said it should have been an error. I don't know. It was the only base run all game. But
what do you think about the new rules? I mean, the pitcher. If you were pitching today, would the pitcher's clock be a problem for you?
I know for me, like holding runs on base, that was always my weakness. It was tough. And I think baseball, I still love the game, but I think sometimes it contradicts itself because they got the pitch clock now for the pitchers, but at the same time you have the replays that slows the game down. I think sometimes they do too much with the changes, so hopefully they don't mess up a beautiful game.
I know you're a big fan of the DH. I know you're not. I mean, what do you have, 6 or 7 home runs? I forget.
8.
I'm sorry.
I hit one in interleague play when I was with the Indians also. But I like hitting. I think it's more strategy when they had the pitchers in. But I get it now because it was almost embarrassing when pitchers was getting hurt, bunting, pitchers getting hurt running bases. So I understand they had to change it. But when I was playing, we took a lot of pride in our hitting. The day before we would pitch, we'd take BP on the field. The day you throw on the side, you hit in the cages with Mel. We go on the road, we work on bunting, hitting. So we took a lot of pride in our hitting.
Doc, I know you pitched in the old timers. What do it was good memories for you. We had a lot of the 86 guys were there, 60-plus guys. It's good we can recognize the history of the team being back there.
Oh, man, that was great. And I like the way everything the new ownership's doing with the alumni and bringing everybody together. For me, it was great because I got to see a lot of guys that I play with. I got to see guys that was before me, like Crane Poole, Siemski, and all those guys as well. and guys that was behind me. It's just a good mix, and I think it was great for the fans. The organization bring all those guys together. So it was just a tremendous day.
How do you watch the game as a fan, or you analyze stuff? I mean, I know when you come, you would look at the pitch, sit behind home plate. Do you? I mean, you just try and look at it as a fan, or the depth of the curveball, the spin on it. What do you think of all the stuff at the spin rate now?
I think, me personally, I think it's okay, but sometimes I think it's a little overrated. I think if a pitcher can locate, read bat speed, change the eye level, that's the guy I want. I understand velocity and spin rates plays a big part. And I think that's good too, but I want the complete picture myself. But I look at the game now as a fan. I know, like, my first 3 or 4 years when I retired, I looked at it, I was analyzing every pitch, throw this and shit, throw that. Now I'm able to just sit there and enjoy the game. And, I love watching the Met games still at Citi Field.
One of my biggest memories the first year, we were in Houston, your first game, and you missed the bike. I guess you're too nervous. You missed the bus. You walked to the stadium, and you couldn't get in. But you had the guard wouldn't let you in.
Fence. Yeah, that was crazy. At Astros, I was so nervous. Missed the bus. Walking to I said concierge how to get to the stadium. So it was like 3 miles to Astrodome. I get to this Astrodome. I climb the fence, like 8-foot fence.
Right.
I climb the fence, and the security guards see me. I say, I'm Doc Gooden, I'm pitching tonight.
You're sure, right.
You're Dwight Gooden, pitching. So luckily, Steve Garland, one of the head trainers, was at the ballpark, and they called down there, and he came up to get me. So I've never been so nervous in my life, but the Mets was kind enough to fly my parents in, and that made it even more nervous for me.
Doc, one of the things I like we traveled was the meals we used to have. Me and you and Rusty. Yes. One of our favorite restaurants is Ron's in Japan.
Yes.
The only guy used to have a lobster appetizer used to have these 2 gigantic lobster appetizers. That's the appetizer.
Yes, well, that was great. And you're right, Jay. We had so much fun on the road going to eat at Ron's Japan. And I still go there, like for my birthday or different events, I'll go there. That's my favorite restaurant. And I miss that. A lot of people ask me, do you miss playing the game? I don't miss playing the game. I just miss the friendship we had, being on the road and traveling together, going to the restaurants and all the fun.
You know what? The '86 team was. I was a couple of years out of college. It was a lot of different personalities. You won't know, but it was a bond and keep us all together. I remember sitting in Davy's office. Game 6 World Series, 2 strikes, 2 outs, lose by 2 runs. I'm thinking, how am I going to apologize to the writers? Team that won 114 games, didn't win the World Series, but was there a memory you have about that?
Oh, man, that was amazing. I felt bad because I didn't pitch well the first 2 games. I pitched good in the playoffs. I went 9 against Scott and then 10 against Nolan.
Right.
Both of the playoffs, the World Series starts Game 2 and I think Game 5. I didn't pitch well at all, and that bothered me. But then Game 6, I remember being in the clubhouse, and we started going to run. You're feeling bad, like, man, what could I have done differently? It was like one hit after another hit, the wild pitch, obviously the Mookie play, and we ended up winning that Game 6. I couldn't believe it. And you're taught even in Little League, it's not over till it's over, but I thought it was over. So I remember they came and got Mitch, the pinch hit. He had to throw his jersey on, and once we won Game 6. If you remember, we was down in Game 7 also, but I just knew after Game 6 was going to win it.
Yeah. What did Mel Stottlemyre mean to your career, any Yankees and the Mets? What did he mean to you?
Mel was great. Mel was like a second father to me because having Mel around, and I remember when I came out of Smiths, we went to your house, and Mel was with me. Mel was always with me on the road. He would always come up, make sure I was okay. And then having him at the end of my career, where I had to make the adjustments because I didn't have the same stuff I had with the Mets. And Mel was always there, and when they put me in the bullpen to start my career with the Yankees in '96, Mel would come to park early, would throw, but he was always talking to me. And even when I retired, me and Mel had a good relationship, and I miss Mel today.
Yeah, Mel was good. One of my days I always remember when you had to stop playing when you had to go to Smiths for a while. Yeah. You came back and pitched the game, got a standing ovation.
Oh, that was great because coming out of there, you didn't know what to expect. Whether the fans going to still be behind you or not be behind you. And they would have the right if they wouldn't have, if they'd have booed or whatever. But the fans gave me a standing ovation. And when that happens from a personal standpoint, that really makes you feel good inside because at that point it becomes more than just baseball. It's more dealing with life.
You know what, for me, when it was Dwight, even when you go back to the Red Sox series, you didn't have pitch great, but you didn't. I remember walking down to a little coffee hole and for the bullpen. What do you need me to do, Jay? You never ran. We knew the obligation to press. Even when you had your off the field problems, you never ever ran. You always faced up to everything, and I think that's why, to this day, you're an endearing figure to not only Met fans, to baseball fans, because you stood up for yourself and never hid in the training room and stuff like that. I mean, was that hard to do it sometimes?
It was hard at first. I give a lot of credit to you was always there for me, talking to me, and Rusty Staub was great with me as well. Talk about that, and I just had to like I say, always just be there, not when things are going good, when things are going bad, and just admit that, I made a mistake. I'm going to try to get better and do the best I can, and just face it. And the fans, always understood that.
Yeah, especially in New York, it's hard to.
Yes.
It's hard to. Is there any one game, Doc? I mean, you talk about the Moreland game. What do you remember about the K corner when the guys who started the K corner?
That was so much fun. Like when I was playing, I couldn't admit it, but now I can tell you that I got caught up in the K corner. I wanted 10 strikeouts every game, and Carter, being the catcher, he wanted 10 strikeouts. And so a lot of times, you get to so many strikeouts, you're not sure how many you have. And when you strike somebody out and they're passing the ball around the infield, the third baseman is always the last one to get the ball before he throws it to you. And then K corner's in the left field corner. So when I get the ball back, whether it was Howard Johnson or Ray Knight, I would take a peek up there to see how many Ks I had. And I thought it was great, and the fans loved it. I remember the fans standing on their feet when I got 2 strikes on a batter. And when the strikes went out, the guy had the K there running around hollering. I thought it was just great for baseball. And it was a little bit of pressure, but I accepted the pressure. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. And the nights I pitched, especially Friday nights, it was just more, it felt more than baseball.
I mean, Shea used to rock. I mean, Citi Field is great. It was time for a new stadium, but when Shea was filled and the bleachers were rocking, it was a
It was
just
fun.
a
That was
unique
just a great
experience.
time, and I used to love going there. Even when I went pitching, just going to the ballpark during that time, because the fans was really involved and was involved with the fans. So that's why I'm glad now we're all getting back involved with it and enjoying the fans, and they deserve it.
Yeah, well, what's a good thing? And not that the Will Punts did, but this new ownership, they embrace the past. We have the alumni games, and to recognize, bring people back in the family who've kind of been estranged. I mean, it's good to see guys, maybe not all-star, but guys had a little part, like the 25th guy on the team and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, right, Jay, because I know when I signed the Yankees in '96, I went to spring training, because I'm always going to be a Met, no matter what, even though I played with other teams. But I remember going to spring training with the Yankees, and they had DiMaggio, they had Yogi, they had Guidry, Reggie, all these guys. I'm like, man, this would be nice once I retire, the Mets can do this, because it's a win-win where the fans get to see the old players or the heroes or what have you, and the players now, they can ask questions if they have to, but at the same time, not step on the guys' toes who are doing their job. And I think it's just great for everybody. It's a win-win situation. And the alumni and bring the guys back, it's great. You do a good job with
Well, it's good. I'm working with guys I work with all my life, which is great and everything.
It's fun. Yes.
But hopefully we'll do some more stuff next year, and
Yes.
celebrate your stuff, and you still maybe next old time is get you pitch another. How did your arm feel after that time?
My arm felt good. The rest of my body felt like I was in a car wreck.
was it a little crazy?
I got to work out before next.
Was it crazy to go back on the mound? No?
It was crazy. I was actually more nervous in the old timers games than I was pitching any other time in my career.
Really?
Yeah, because I hadn't really worked out anything, and then when I got to the mound, I think I was throwing from second base.
I forget who'd you pitch against. You remember?
Hojo and Maz.
Yeah.
Brazili. But it was fun getting out there and hitting the crowds again. And I was nervous because I want to make sure I throw strikes.
Well, you've been a good friend all these years, Doc.
Jay.
Stay in touch, man.
All right,
Thanks,
love you,
brother.
brother.
Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Thank you.